Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new episode of the Sports Insight with your host Alamdar Khan. Yes, as you know, we give you sports information from all across the globe. You guys can surely reach out to us on our social media handle, which is at the rate of Indus Sports. That works both for Twitter and for Instagram. But anyways, we'll go to the headlines first. And yes, Kashmir Premier League is still underway, while today Kotli Lions beat Overseas Warriors by 8 wickets. And talking about Pakistan versus West Indies, Pakistan all out for 217 in the first test against West Indies on day one. And yes, talking about the NBA Summer League, the Wizards were defeated by the Nets 84-81 in double overtime. And on Thursday, while 76ers beat Atlanta Hawks 96-88. And yes, from the world of tennis, Joanna Konta withdraws from National Bank Open in Montreal, handing Coco Gauff a walkover. And yes, those were the headlines. And as mentioned, Kashmir Premier League is still underway and we are super excited about it. Not to forget that Kotli Lions beat Overseas Warriors by 8 wickets on Friday. But not only that, we'd surely be discussing Overseas Warriors winning against the Hawks. But to discuss the in-depth analysis, we have with us Salim. Salim, welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Great. Salim, first things first. KPL is underway and I'm sure it is right now on fire. And how do you see it further developing ahead as a series and as an initiative to represent the country?
I think, first of all, it's a great initiative and a fantastic platform to showcase the local talent. As they say, better late than never.
Yep.
So I think it was about time to do something for the people of Kashmir on the lines of sports.
Right.
And we did it. So yes, there was a little bit marketing required. PCB did their part, but I think the fiasco created by BCCI helped us to make it a global event.
Absolutely.
There will be there will be a lot more international involvement, I'm sure, and this will evolve over time.
And yes, we would definitely love that. So let's get to the first match. Obviously, Kotli Lion beating the Overseas Warrior by 8 wickets. We see a lot of talent and a lot of interesting things happening. So how do you see this match right now?
Yeah, again, amazing match. Over 200 runs were scored, 211 to be precise by Overseas Warriors. And this guy Nawaz, I think this was back-to-back 250s from him.
Right.
So he's 22, 23 years old from South Waziristan, and this is the kind of thing we are seeing here. The level of competitiveness in the tournament and the local talent coming up. Right. But I think the Kamran, the best of the Kamran brothers, joined the party and stole the show.
Right.
So 60 of 35 balls was an amazing performance, and chasing a mammoth score of 211 with 1 over to spare. I think it's a very well played match, and
we're absolutely thrilled by the entire perspective. To be very honest, and yes, having a score over 200 is surely something that shows a lot of potential. But as you mentioned about Nawaz, that he obviously being from South Waziristan and proving his worth. So I think slowly and gradually, such talent, such raw talent, will be out there for the PCB to notify to, and I'm sure this would surely change the fate of the country. I would also want to talk about the next match too. Obviously, the Overseas Warriors managed to win against the Hawks. So how do you see that match developing?
So again, some local talent joining the show. A 20-year-old Abbas taking 5 wickets, restricting the Rawalakot Hawks to 145 runs only.
Right.
And I think a win was due. So Overseas Warriors took it. So again, great performance by Nawaz and Naveed.
Right.
So they got first win under their bucket as well.
Right. And now how do you see this impacting, obviously, if we talk about KPL as a whole? Because, when we look back into how PSL was drafted and decided for the first time, I still remember the first time they were out there looking for sponsors. It was a technically very hard glitch for them to establish it as a franchise. But hats off, and it is out there. So how do you see Kashmir Premier League? Because as you mentioned, how BCCI reacted to it, and it obviously added more value to it. I think the next time when Kashmir Premier League will start its second leg things would probably be more solid for them?
I think the future looks very bright. There will be, I'm sure, a lot of private companies jumping into this domain, helping the franchises, on the financial side as well. And the raw talent itself across the country is something which we are very enriched with.
Right.
And these are the tournaments which are, I think, which will enable us to be there and, to compete with the highest level. I remember, this. There was an article on ESPN, and they were talking about that India can land at least 3 to 4 international teams at one point in time.
Right.
And all of this is because the level of cricket they're playing internally. And this is what we need to be doing. And I think we have joined this bus,
Right.
and it's just a matter of time.
Right.
With raw talent, a little bit of discipline, I think we will have the top level cricketers.
Right, absolutely. And one more thing I would also want to ask with regards to KPL is a big question mark to obviously Cricinfo to begin with, because they still are not providing the live scoring perspective. And I think a lot of people have raised a lot of voice on that. So what's your take on that? Because I think when it is recognized globally, and BCCI went vote to ICC and ICC gave a go ahead. So I think being a responsible journalist perspective, they should have maybe kept the live score on for at least KPL.
I think we have to face the reality. This is the real pressure, which everybody is facing, and not everybody is willing to take the risk.
Right.
So yes, it is due. If you are a true professional, you're supposed to report it.
Right.
But we know the practicality of things as well.
Right.
And this is some hidden pressure put by BCCI.
Right.
But I think these things are temporary.
Right.
These things are temporary, and we will overcome these obstacles.
For sure, for sure. Well, Salim, I would also want to talk about the current series, Pakistan versus West Indies, and that's super interesting because we did win the T20 thanks to obviously the rain part as well. We did win one match, but now the Test series underway. So how do you see that developing? Because Pakistan was all out, 217 on day one. However, West Indies on the fourth over, now it's stumped, so it's 2 for 2. So how do you see that in the long run for Pakistan?
Well, I will speak about the T20 series. I was really looking forward to it, and I think we couldn't even see 30 overs aside.
Right.
The rain had other plans because West Indies team is quite challenging, and they definitely have a claim on this World Cup with the kind of setup, the lineup they're putting up.
Right.
So yes, that was a miss. But now Test matches. I saw the pitch report. It was a green top, and we all know that our players struggle on a green top.
Right.
This is what we saw. With Azhar Ali as well. He's supposed to be one of the strongest technically, but 17 runs, I think, on 70 odd balls, and with 2 reviews and couple of close calls. I think he was definitely, not ready for this kind of an attack. And even Rizwan was trying to get his way around it. He couldn't manage. Babar Azam, I think, is due for a big score now. But thanks to Fawad Alam and Fahim Ashraf,
Right.
I think we managed to put up somewhat a decent score, if not a winning score. But I think West Indies batting is no different.
Right.
We saw that 2 for 2.
Right.
So yes, we are up for a very interesting match. And to be honest with you, with all the T20 action going around, I think for a hardcore cricket fan, a Test match is like music to ears.
Right,
So
absolutely.
we definitely enjoy watching it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Salim, I would also want to talk about, obviously, when we discussed the when you just mentioned T20, obviously, if it were, if he had managed to watch the entire T20 series against West Indies, I think it would have been interesting. Why? Because we know how hard-hitting team West Indies gets, and they come up to that point of being that solid team. But every team is right now preparing themselves for what is due, which is the World Cup T20, which is going to be in Oman and the UAE. And I'm glad that, it has switched from India to this place. Why? For the fact that, we all know the COVID-19 situation there. So how do you see that developing? And do you think Pakistan, cricket team is ready for it?
I think with 1 or 2 gaps, which I am pretty sure we'll be able to fill. I think we are up there with the top 3 to 4 teams,
Right.
and we definitely have a very good chance. This is the environment which is quite suitable for Pakistan cricket team.
Right.
And when we were facing some scarcity of cricket in our home country, our teams were playing a lot of cricket in Gulf. So,
Right.
which again will prove to be an advantage for us. It should prove to be an advantage for us,
Right.
and I'm sure we will definitely up there in the top 4 teams.
Right. Having that advantage, I'm 110% sure that is a one solid point that we've discussed, and I've discussed with so many people, and this is what they've told me. One last question: we've seen Bangladesh winning against Australia. I think Bangladesh is also now the underdog in terms of how they performed, and I think this time they have quite a vision. Looking at the World Cup T20. So, what's your take on them?
Yes, this is one team which has always been threatening to win against the big sides, but I think that lack of confidence used to, restrict them. We saw what happened in the World Cup against India as well. They were so close, but they couldn't win it.
Right.
But now I think they have overcome this mental block, and talent-wise, they're definitely very competitive.
Right.
And if they have the confidence and the mental level is there, so yes, this is the kind of results we are going to see in the World Cup as well.
Yep, we are definitely looking forward to have an interesting World Cup. Salim, thank you so very much for being a part of the show and discussing the world of cricket with us.
Thank you so much.
So that was Salim. Obviously, we did discuss the world of KPL, how things are developing for it, and we are super happy and super glad about how KPL is further progressing. Not only that, we are seeing the upcoming raw talent that had been hidden, but I think in the long run, it would surely be one of the most powerful campaigns out there. And not only that, we talked about Pakistan versus West Indies series, and Pakistan, 217 all out. However, West Indies 2 for 2 and stumps. But anyways, things will further develop and we'll keep you guys posted on that. Anyways, we'll take a quick break. Once we get back from the break, there is more coming in from the world of sports. See you guys after the break. And yes, welcome back from the break. And yes, before the break, we were discussing the world of cricket, but not to forget that, we always talk about various sorts of sports from all across the globe. So we're going to jump into what's truly happening in the world of NBA, and not to forget that the Summer League is still continually on the go. And yes, it has been interesting because the Wizards managed to defeat the Nets 84-81 in a double overtime. And not only that, there are a few more matches that we'll be discussing. And to discuss this, we have with us Abbas. Abbas, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alamdar.
So, Bas, we're going to start off with obviously Summer League in terms of, things are happening. NBA wants everything rolling in, and we can see new talent coming in terms of their performance and, the impact it would create for them in the long run. So, what's your take on the Wizards defeating the Nets today, which is obviously 84-81 in a double overtime?
Yes, the Summer League is always fun to watch. As the teams prepare to go into the preseason, they're looking for young talent to fill in the roster spots in the bench and the reserve locations. And this was a really, really nice game to watch, especially it went into double overtime between Brooklyn Nets and the Washington Wizards. Actually, the Brooklyn Nets won the game by 3 points, 84-81 against the Washington Wizards. And both of these teams have been in somewhat troubled waters as a whole. For the Washington Wizards, we know since the time Russell Westbrook left, they have some new players joining the squad, but they're definitely looking down at the young talent that's coming into their team. And to lose this game with only 3 points in a double overtime is always hurtful. But, it's always nice to see their players stepping up, especially if you talk about James Ekanik and Mason Jones and
Right.
Austin Hollins. They scored 17, 13, and 13 points respectively.
So, in terms
but
of,
especially, I would say that the Brooklyn Nets.
In terms of the new talent that you just mentioned, of course, the whole idea of this entire Summer League is to get the new talent out there. So how impactful do you see up till now, the matches that you've seen, how much raw talent that you see can be substantial? Because, I'm sure there will be some picks to look into in terms of, the top 10 or top 5 individuals that, we need to look out for.
Yes, there's always a lot of young talent that steps in, and there are a lot of young players full of ambition, full of talent, full of athleticism, who really want to join the NBA team, and then especially they would like to join a team where they fit in well. Not only the players are really, really motivated to join an NBA team, all the NBA general managers, the front offices, the coaching staff look at the summer league very, very carefully, because no team is perfect. They can always fill in a player to fill in special places in their team. Some teams are looking for length. Some teams are looking for athleticism. Some teams are looking for that point guard who has that outstanding vision, the likes of Lonzo Ball. And especially if I talk about Lonzo Ball, his brother LiAngelo Ball is playing in the summer league, and that's new for the Hornets. So if he can come back and join a team for a full contract in the NBA.
So I would also want the viewers to know in depth wise, is there any age limit in terms of having the summer league? Because I think it's maybe more of the show keep on going and hunting for the talent. Is it do we find some senior players in the summer league, or do we find only the raw ones who are out there and who want to prove their mettle to be in the real NBA senior team?
Well, the Summer League is dominated by young players who are ambitious 18, 19-year-old players who want to join the NBA as a rookie. But there is no age limit. We have seen at times very, very senior players who came through the Summer League, especially 2 years back, the Lakers signed a player named Ingram, who was really, really senior. He was retiring from their G League team, and he came to join the Lakers for 2 games, the last 2 games of the season, and he balled out. So there are a lot of dream come true fantasy stories that come out of the G League and the Summer League. These are separate entities of the NBA, and each NBA franchise runs it it's like a talent hunt community. Especially there are players who come from overseas. They are especially the ones who are more senior. They have more experience. So there's no particular age limit. Generally, the American players are younger because the college and school hunt over there is more rigorous. But the international players are generally more senior as compared to their American counterparts.
Right, that's an interesting take, and would surely I would love all the viewers to know about this. I would also want to talk about the second game. The 76ers managed to beat Atlanta Hawks by 96-88 in the last match. The Hawks top 2021 draft pick Johnson showed some amazing skills. So how do you see that developing for them?
This was again a really great game, and both games are going into overtime, so that's always fun. Again, these two teams, they have their own backstories coming up, and the stories are really important when the teams step up in the summer league, because this is how their players or their young talent reacts. If they're stepping up into the shoes of a championship team, this is how they will play. So Atlanta Hawks is coming off a really, really good postseason.
So as we obviously were discussing the 76ers beating Atlanta Hawks and Johnson showing his amazing skills, and I think it's going to be an interesting journey. But how do you see Atlanta Hawks developing further? Because I think losing such a game again and again would surely cause a big impact to not only them but the entire team as a performance team. And it's very technically hard for them to find the real talent. So what teams need to do to get there? Because some individuals would have the offensive side, some teams would have the defensive side. So how do you see that further developing in terms of 76ers beating Atlanta Hawks?
The 76ers and Atlanta Hawks have both been through a lot this postseason. It was a special breakout season for the Atlanta Hawks. They just need a couple more pieces if they can find, especially at the forward position, if they can add a couple of pieces to their roster on the bench spot, they're just good to go. And, the teams need that. And the performance in the Summer League kind of dictates what the team just did in the postseason. So if the team is a championship caliber team, this is how their Summer League players will play. And this is how their coaches will coach, because that's the culture of the team. For Philadelphia 76ers, things are a bit dicey. They're trying to trade Ben Simmons, which they are unable to find a good deal for. So they still have a lot to look for. They don't know exactly what they're looking for in the Summer League. They're not sure what kind of pieces they need, because they don't know what kind of players they will get in return for Ben Simmons. So that is a huge question for the Sixers. But I think the Atlanta Hawks are really good. If they can add some depth to the forward position, they're good to go.
Right, and if we look back into the previous NBA season when we were discussing, we already had a lot of conversation. I think in terms of performance, 76ers, and not only 76ers, even Hawks, they were pretty solid in terms of team. So I think, but yet again, the question mark is what exactly does the team want? What exactly are they looking for? And even in terms of drafts, I would want to maybe just have a bit of idea from you in terms of big names, so, switching from one team to another, because I'm sure that would be something that is currently happening, and if you want to shed some light on it.
Sure. So the biggest names or the biggest changes that happened are in 4 teams. So namely the Lakers, which added Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, and a whole bunch of new players, you can name. And the group of Carmelo Anthony, Russell Westbrook, and LeBron James getting together is just fun, and the team will be fun to watch. Apart from that, Miami Heat has made the biggest moves so far. Kyle Lowry joins the Heat. Apart from that, Victor Oladipo is there. Jimmy Butler is already there. He signed a big deal. Andre Iguodala returns to the Golden State Warriors to join Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. That is a big news. And the Bulls have made some big changes to their roster, and the Knicks. So these are the teams which are there to look out for. Ben Simmons is still out there for any team to grab. None of the teams has put up strong enough trade deal.
Right, Abbas. Well, thank you very much for your in-depth knowledge in the world of NBA. I'm sure that would be of help, and we'll surely have you again on board. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
So that was in-depth analysis from Abbas, and obviously he discussed what truly is happening in the world of Summer League. And obviously he also mentioned at the end some trades that are currently happening, and I think the upcoming season of the world of NBA is going to be super interesting. We'll surely keep you guys updated. Anyways, we'll go to the next news. The next news is from the world of tennis. Yes, we're talking about Jonna Konta, who actually withdraws from the National Bank Open due to knee injury. And Konta has been forced to withdraw from her latest match at Montreal. And she handed, the game to Coco Gauff for a walkover. So I think that's maybe a bad news for all the fans for Jonna Konta. But not only that, if you look back into the situation, we also mentioned in terms of injuries how Roger Federer also has been going through the same kind of injury. So I think the injury part sometimes takes it too long. So I think she definitely needs to rest it out before it gets even worse, because once it does, it is very technically hard for all the individuals to make a comeback. But anyways, guys, this was pretty much it from the world of sports. If you want to reach out to us, you can on our social media handle, which is at the rate of Indus News Sports. That works both for Twitter and for Instagram. Till then, take good care of yourselves, and bye-bye.